Hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of Colorwind Plays. And on this edition, we're going to take a look at Panzer Dragoon for the Sega Saturn as part of Sega Saturn Week. I'm going to skip this because I don't want to give away the story too much. I'm also going to put this game on easy because I am not good at Panzer Dragoon. I never have been. As much as I have memories of this game, I don't have many memories of me being good at it. This is one of the very first Sega Saturn games I ever saw. I remember when I was young, going over to my cousin's house. That actually makes sense. And it was in the desert. I had no idea where I was. I remember being kind of freaked out because I didn't know what was going on. And they had a big screen TV and a brand new console hooked up to it. It was Sega, and I wanted to try it out, but they wouldn't let me. And they were older than me. I should point that out. One thing I noticed while I was there is that this new system had 3D graphics, and they popped in a couple of games, and I saw some, and I believe either the second or third game, or it could have been a first, I'm not sure. But either way, this is probably the game I remembered the most about. All I knew, I didn't know the name of the game or anything. All I knew was that there was a dragon flying around shooting things, that the graphics were in 3 dimensions, and I thought that was really cool. And I thought it was a rich boy console, which I will explain in a moment. And another thing I remember was the soundtrack. The amazing, beautiful, absolutely stunning soundtrack. And I was right too, because this game has a gorgeous soundtrack. It might be the best aspect of it. I mean, this game is a lot of fun, and the switching mechanic to left and right and behind you is great, but above all else, I think the soundtrack is what ended up resonating with me the most. But anyway, yeah, so this is one of my first memories of the Sega Saturn. I had no idea what it was, and as a matter of fact, because it had 3D graphics and because it was so beautiful, and I was lucky enough to see it on a big screen TV for the first time, I thought it was what I would call a rich boy console. And what a rich boy console to me was, different systems that could do a lot of impressive graphics and cost a lot of money. You have to remember that when I was young, I grew up in the early 90s, and while I had a Super Nintendo and or rather a Sega Genesis, there were all these other consoles coming out, like the Panasonic 3DO, the Atari Jaguar, the SNK Neo Geo AES, and all these other consoles that cost a lot of money, $600–700, and they had much better graphics than the consoles at that time, the normal consoles at the time, which was the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, which usually ran you about like $200. So I thought it was a rich boy console. One, because I thought this thing would cost so much, and typically systems like that were able to do 3D polygonal graphics. The other reason why I thought it would cost that much is because I had seen another Sega console that had done something like this, and I thought it was similar, the Sega CD. I had heard about it, I thought it was something like that. And the third reason was because I did not understand the concept of multiple generations of consoles. That hadn't dawned on me. I had not seen the N64 yet, even though that didn't click in until when I got that either. And it took the the Sony PlayStation that helped me figure that out. Which I actually wrote a story about at gamingprecision.com, so check that out if you're curious. But yeah, that didn't dawn on me. I had an NES and a Super NES, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I had no idea about the Master System, so I figured, oh, this is just a Rich Boy console, and the NES was just like the other one, like Nintendo had made 2. So, no, that had not dawned on me. And so I thought this was a Rich Boy console. And not to mention the beautiful graphics and everything like that. And this game is... I have very vivid memories of sitting in this strange house and seeing these beautiful graphics and flying around, and how fantastical and different it looked. Skipping the stories, don't spoil anything. And just being so impressed with it. I didn't even know what the story was. All I knew is it was such a beautiful game. And even now, I'm impressed with it. I mean, yes, these graphics are pretty cheesy nowadays, but I mean, this is a case of good art direction. That's what this is. Everything just looks so good, so beautiful. I am not doing a good job right now. And even to this day, I admire this game so much. Although I have not played this game that much, as a matter of fact. Later on, when I did get into the Sega Saturn and figure out what it was and everything like that, I looked into it. This is not one of the games I ended up owning. Not sure why. It's just that's just how it happened. I should have taken off the inverted controls. But I mean, if there's one series that I wish Sega would bring back in some capacity, it's this. Because I'm just so amazed by it. This is actually a real good example of what the Sega Saturn did good. Making these creative worlds with beautiful graphics and a lot of heart and soul put into them. Even if the Sega Saturn wasn't exactly the best at rendering 3D graphics, third-dimensional graphics. It's just such a creative game. This is why I like Sega. As a matter of fact, it was a good argument for the system too. This was a launch title for the Sega Saturn. Probably the best one too, because the Sega Saturn's launch was notoriously botched, thanks to an early launch before anyone was actually ready for it, and having not that many games available for it. It was launched in the summer, which no one was ready for. Where are you? I know you're around here. Anyway, the launch was earlier than it was originally announced to be, and didn't have that many games. And although there were some that you could argue were more commercially viable, Daytona USA and Virtua Fighter, which were already big hits in the arcade, those titles ended up being completely messed up. You had bad ports of those games. Virtua Fighter in particular was completely botched. At least Daytona USA is pretty playable. But those games were so messed up that later on Sega would re-release those games with extra content and extra art design just to make up for it because they were so badly done. Virtua Fighter was re-released as Virtua Fighter Remix, and you could actually get that game for free. And yeah, well, anyway, yeah, you can actually get that game for free if you had bought the game. You had to mail it in or mail to Sega of America. They would send you the game for free. And then Daytona USA later on got a re-release as Daytona Champion Circuit Edition. That had extra content. Get back here. There we go. Yeah, and that had extra content in it as well. But Panzer Dragoon was actually available at launch, and it was probably the best argument for the system because it was so well done, because it was so good, and because it was also an original idea. Whereas the other games were arcade ports, this one was a full-fledged brand new game. Albeit a short one, Panzer Dragoon, this game is only 7 levels long, but a fun one nonetheless. And there's replayability, you know, there's different difficulty settings. I think you might get something if you beat on harder difficulty, I'm not sure. Might have made that up. But I enjoy this game a lot. You should too. It's a lot of fun. This game did get re-released on the Xbox as part of Panzer Dragoon Orta. It's, I believe, unlockable. After you, I believe, beat that game, you unlock the original. So that's nice. Gotta get there. One thing I think that's interesting is this game mechanic, I think, is reused in the Sonic games. In Sonic Adventure, you get to play as a character known as E102 Gamma. And the way that he shoots is you either shoot by just rapidly pressing the button, or you can hold on to the shoot button and target various enemies, which is exactly what I'm doing here. So it's interesting to see how game mechanics from other games get transported over to other Sega franchises. I should mention too that those levels in Sonic Adventure with Gamma are pretty good. I enjoyed that mechanic. So, the way you control the game is pretty simple too. There's only a shoot button, which is all of the 3 lower buttons on the Sega Saturn controller, A, B, and C. Either of those buttons will work. You press it to shoot, or you hold it down to go over enemies, and then you just let go to unleash your attack. Go. Get everyone. Make sure I get everyone. And bonuses. One thing worth noting is I've never completed this game. I'm not sure why. It just never happened. This is about as far as I've gotten. I believe I've gotten to the stage and then that's it. Never gone further. There's no reason for it. It just has never happened. I should probably just beat this game one day. Knock it right out. For this Let's Play, I believe we'll take you just to the 3rd stage. I don't want to give too much away. The point of these Colorwind Plays is not to show you that I can complete games. It's just to give you a little taste, a little information, a little gameplay, just to see if you'll enjoy it. Is this something that you would like to go check out for yourself? Most of these games are for that. Some, like the previous one I just did on The Cave for the PC, that's a recent release from Double Fine and Sega. The purpose of that was just to show it off to see if maybe you liked it, even though I myself did not care for it as much. I still believe that there is an audience for it, and I can still show it off. It's pretty simple, just like that. Whereas something like this is a game that's well known to gamers, but not necessarily to a certain type of gamer, such as those who just want to get into it, those who want to get into a more deeper cuts, and Panzer Dragoon is a deeper cut, despite a lot of Sega fans loving it. There we go. Got it. And that's the point of these Colorwind Plays. And then also, hey, I like games, and I like to play them. Would you like to see me play them? So, as for story, again, I don't want to show off too much. But, basically, the premise is you're a boy who was rescued by a dragon and its rider. However, the rider dies, so you take over for him. And there's a sci-fi world. There's some political intrigue to an extent. The story is actually quite involved. Worth noting that. As a matter of fact, I believe there was an anime made out of it. I've never seen it. It may be good, it may not. Not sure. It may be a long lost anime. Ow. This guy is proving to be quite difficult. If you would like to play this game on the Sega Saturn, it does cost quite a bit. That's worth noting. If you do want to pick this up for the Sega Saturn, it will cost you probably somewhere in the range of $20 to $30. But one way that might be easier to go, I'm not sure because I don't know if the price has gone up with time, but Panzer Dragoon Order, which I told you also has a copy of this game, it's unlockable on the Xbox, the original Xbox. You can possibly play that. Okay, well, I guess that ends this Colorwind Plays of Panzer Dragoon for the Sega Saturn. I had a lot of fun with this game. You should have a lot of fun with this game and check it out. And I will catch you later. Take it easy, guys.